Hey you guys, I'm so glad you came today. So my name is Jocelyn. I'm the founder of Vegan Boss Lady, and today I'm going to share with you how you can have a flatter tummy and it is not what you think. So be sure to say hello to me in the comments. I am live in the comments, so say hello, leave me your thoughts, let me know if you have any questions, and remember to close in all distractions. I keep these webinars pretty short because I try to give you the content that's most valuable so that you can really get what you want. Also, be sure to stick around to the end because my husband, I don't know when he's gonna do it, but he's gonna let these like bonus items magically appear. So keep an eye out for them. I do have some special tools created for you guys that are gonna help you get a flatter tummy. So you wanna stick around for that. And why did I decide to do a webinar on how to have a flatter tummy? Well, since I have had 8 children and I've spent 6 years of my adult life pregnant, that's 72 months, people. I know what it's like to want a flatter tummy, and I have definitely figured out a natural way to have a flatter tummy, and I really want to share it with you guys so that you can reap the benefits too. So take a look at this picture here. This is me when I was 3 months postpartum with my 7th baby, and I was doing exactly what I'm going to share with you today. So really, it does work. So can you imagine yourself having a flatter tummy after implementing these 3 secrets I'm going to share with you today? Won't it make fitting into your skinny jeans so much easier and more comfortable? So I'm going to share with you guys some things that you can start doing today to have a flatter tummy. And it is not go to the gym, do hours of cardio, do 1,000 crunches, and starve yourself. So secret number 1, the better your digestion is, the flatter your tummy. So I live in a house with 8 children, so naturally there's an object lesson for everything. So we have some nylon here, people, okay? Imagine this is your intestines, okay? If you were to stretch out your intestines, it would be 6 meters long. So that's about half the height of a brachiosaurus. Of course, we have to involve dinosaurs because 6 of my children are boys. So this is your intestines. Now, this is always wadded up, in your abdomen here, okay? So when we eat food, okay, we fill it up, much like this. Isn't that cute? So imagine this in your stomach, okay? So if this was in your stomach, wadded up, okay, you would have a protruding belly. This represents things that are slow to digest because if you look, it takes a lot of effort for these to move through and to empty out. You see all that work? Okay, so we always end up with stuff in our guts. Now, if we were to eat things that were fast to digest, and my baby's sleeping, hopefully I don't wake her up, I'll drop it in my lap. Like these balls, these go through very quickly, okay? Leaving us with less stuff to wad up in our guts. So then, when all of this is inside our stomach, okay, it leaves us with a flatter tummy. So it's much like a python. When a python eats, you can pretty much tell. We want to be more like a smooth python, not a I just ate the whole antelope python. So what are some things that we can do to improve our digestion? Well, we can be mindful of our stomach acid. We need to have a certain level of acidity in our stomach in order to digest our food. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever experienced bloating, gas, indigestion, chronic fatigue, heartburn, belching, diarrhea, constipation, acne, dry skin, adrenal fatigue, or hair loss? All of these things can be caused by poor digestion, which could be from low stomach acid. So what are some things that cause low stomach acid? Antibiotics can definitely decrease our stomach acid, and not just the antibiotics that we consume in pill form, but also the antibiotics that we get indirectly by consuming animal products. Also, a poor diet that consists of a lot of processed and packaged foods will also decrease our stomach acid. Aging, stress, and alcohol consumption will also decrease our stomach acid. So what are some things that we can do to improve our stomach acid? Well, we can drink celery juice. If we drink 16 ounces of celery juice first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, it will improve the hydrochloric acid levels in our stomach. We can also drink warm lemon water every morning. And if we want to amp it up a bit, we can add some ginger to that warm lemon water. Another simple trick is to take 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in a shot glass of water And drink that 15 minutes before we eat a meal because that will greatly improve our digestion. Another trick is to drink your water outside of meal times, stopping 30 minutes before you eat and not drinking again until an hour after you're done eating. This prevents your stomach acid levels from becoming diluted. You can check your stomach acid level by performing a simple test. It's called the baking soda test. All what you need to do is mix 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda in 4 to 6 ounces of cold water and drink that down first thing in the morning before you've eaten or drinking anything. Then you're going to time how long it takes for a burp to come up. So if it takes longer than 5 minutes, chances are you have insufficient stomach acid production. So to illustrate kind of what can happen when you have slow digestion, take a look at these pictures. So in these two pictures, I'm 4 weeks postpartum with my 7th baby. So when I had my 7th baby, I had an epidural, plus I had antibiotics. So after I had him, I felt like my digestion truly was at a standstill. I felt so backed up and I felt like nothing was moving through me. So I decided to do a colon cleanse. So the picture on the right is a week later after I finished my colon cleanse. And this just illustrates how when you have slow digestion and it gets backed up, how much it can affect the flatness of your tummy once you get it to move through and get your digestion working properly. All right, so secret number 2. Eat food that supports optimal digestion. The typical Western diet is high in refined carbs, saturated fat, and food additives, and this has been linked to an increase in digestive disorders. In fact, as many as 60 million people in the United States and Canada suffer from digestive disorders. Take a look at this graph. This shows the percentage of calories that come from different food sources, and the bulk of our calories are coming from processed foods and animal foods. And these things are very hard to digest and they're very slow. And only 12% is coming from plant food. And even that, half of this 12% is in actually processed plant food, like an apple pie or in a Snickers bar that has an almond. So really, the amount of food that we eat that actually supports optimal digestion is very small. If you take a look at this graph, it's showing you the amount of calories consumed from the different groups of food. And only 200 calories a day are coming from foods that really support optimal digestion. Everything else is coming from those things that are very difficult to digest and really bog us down. It's no wonder that 40% of Americans are obese. So food additives like glucose, salt, and other chemicals, which are found in abundance in these foods I have pictured here, they increase your gut inflammation, which can lead to leaky gut. Now, there are many symptoms associated with leaky gut, but one of them is gas and bloating, which we definitely don't want gas and bloating if we desire a flatter tummy. Trans fats, which are found in many processed foods like donuts, baked goods, biscuits, frozen pizza, cookies, crackers, stick margarines and spreads, microwave popcorn, they increase your risk for developing ulcerative colitis and inflammatory bowel disease, which also means more gas and bloating. And then you have artificial sweeteners like aspartame and Splenda, xylitol, sorbitol, erythritol. All of these are used to sweeten things like gum, toothpaste, diet sodas, protein bars, and low-carb processed snack foods. These cause serious gastric problems and they increase your harmful gut bacteria. You've probably experienced this when, if you're like me, you've consumed more than one protein bar at a time and then had a horrific stomach ache after and a lot of gas and bloating. You know, one time my husband and I, when we were driving from Tucson up to Utah, and we wanted to pack food that was like easy and portable, so we grabbed a ton of protein bars. So I think in one day I probably ate 3 or 4 protein bars. Oh my goodness, I was suffering so bad. Plus with the diarrhea, and we couldn't stop at a gas station because there were none. Yeah, it's excruciating. In fact, they did a study where they gave the participants 50 grams of xylitol and 70% of them experienced gas and bloating. And they did the same with erythritol and 60% experienced gas and bloating. But it's not just gas and bloating that artificial sweeteners caused. You know, if you look at my health journey, I did for a very long time a high protein, low carb diet. And so I consumed a lot of artificial sweeteners trying to get that sweet fix. Well, I ended up developing some horrific hip pain in my joints. And it was so bad that I couldn't sit for more than 5 minutes. And this went on for a good year. I thought I was just going to be plagued for the rest of my life with like arthritic hip pain. Like I really had no idea what was going on. Well, then I read an article that said that hip pain can be linked to aspartame and Splenda. I was like, no way. really? So I decided just to try it cold turkey to quit all artificial sweeteners and see what would happen. Within 5 days, you guys, I had no more hip pain. It was gone completely. I haven't had it since. So artificial sweeteners don't just cause gas and bloating, they cause a lot of other harmful effects, so we really want to be mindful of those. So when you eat a diet of whole, unprocessed plant food, you get those things that support good digestion, which therefore gives us a flatter tummy. Things like fiber. Fiber speeds up your digestion. Soluble fiber like nuts and seeds draws in water and helps the food move through your system. Insoluble fiber, like what's found in vegetables, creates roughage and cleans out your intestines and your colon. You know, as we have like a poor diet, gunk builds up on the inside of our intestines and our colon. It's much like a bathroom sink. You know, our bathroom sinks, they get clogged and then they no longer drain. So I don't know about you guys, but what I do to clean out that drain is I just take a toothbrush and I scrub it down. And once I scrub the walls down and clean them out, then the sink flows freely. So it's much like our intestines. We need to have like a toothbrush to clean it out. And that toothbrush comes in the form of vegetables in that insoluble fiber. We also need prebiotic fiber, which is found in fruits and vegetables. This will feed the good bacteria. So a high fiber diet promotes regular bowel movements, as does hydrating fruit, which prevents constipation. And as we have bowel movements and prevent constipation, we get a flatter tummy. We also want to make sure we include some healthy omega-3s because they reduce inflammation. And we can get some healthy omega-3s in chia seeds and flaxseed. When we reduce inflammation, we reduce our chances of getting irritable bowel syndrome. The last thing we need to be mindful of is living enzymes. So we need enzymes to digest our food, and our pancreas produces enzymes, but many conditions affect our enzyme activity. Things like low stomach acid, certain medications, illnesses, and age. If we eat mostly cooked food where all the enzymes have been killed, it puts a heavy load on our body to produce enough enzymes to digest that food. And many times it can't, and we end up with very slow digestion. If we eat raw plant food that deliver living enzymes with it, we'll speed up our digestion, improve our gut health for future digestion, and end up with a flatter tummy. A lot of times we feel like we have a pot gut, and really it's not that we're fat, it's that we have food that's not flowing through our digestive system properly. So not only does eating raw fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, even some probiotics support a healthy digestive system, it can also heal an unhealthy one. So the more we eat, the more healing will occur, the better our digestion will be. And you know what that means? As we heal our digestive system, our tummy will be flatter because we will be eliminating as we should. You know, you should be eliminating, 3 times a day, people. When I was doing a high protein, low carb diet, that was like a dream. I was like, people could actually eliminate 3 times a day. I was lucky if I went like once a day. Usually it was like every other day, sometimes even 2 days. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced constipation before, but it makes you feel awful. You feel just groggy and irritable and toxic and in pain and ugh, it is terrible. And when I switched to a raw vegan diet, I'm telling you, I'm going 3 times a day, people, and it feels amazing. You feel fluid and light and just happy and energetic. I've also included down below my weight loss story of how I've lost over 180 pounds over the course of my 8 pregnancies. So if you guys want to watch that, check it out. It's down below. So this brings us to secret number 3. Eat with the end in mind. Foods require different digestive environments to be digested properly. So we want to put foods in our system that require the same digestive environment at the same time. Also, foods digest at different speeds. So we want to be mindful of the speed at which different foods digest so that we're consuming the same speed at the same time. It's much like a 1-lane highway. Have you ever driven up a mountain pass that's like 1 lane and there's no passing and you get stuck behind a semi-truck? And so that semi-truck is going super slow and just chugga, 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 chugga. And then you're zooming up just fine and then you're like, oh goodness. And you get backed up and then a car gets behind you and then another car and then you have this long train of cars backed up behind. I know you've experienced that. So that's much like food. Like this semi-truck could be like a high-fat meal that, can take 72 hours to get through your digestive tract. And then you've got some fruit that takes like 30 minutes. And this fruit comes up behind the semi-truck and you've got the block, right? So then this fruit, which should be out of your stomach in about 30 minutes, ends up being in there way too long. And then you end up with some digestive problems and an overgrowth of the bad bacteria. So this chart shows you the different speeds at which food digests. So the fastest we have are your fruit, your raw juices, and your greens. They can be anywhere from 15 minutes to about an hour. Then you get your vegetables and your cooked vegetables, some plant starches. They're still moving, but they're slower. Then you get your starches, your fats, and your nuts. Well, they get much slower. We're talking, we're going from 1 hour to more like 3 to 4 hours. And then you get the slowest of all. This is your semi-truck blocking the freeway. You got your meats and all your proteins and really high fat. And those can take, up to 8 hours. And if you're improperly combining foods, that can take 12 hours or more. Like really, if you consume a poorly combined meal, it really can take, a long time to get to your digestive system. And I know you felt that where you've eaten something and you've just felt like it's like not moving through your system. It's a lot like baking soda and vinegar. Alone, they're perfectly dormant things. They're just fine. But you put them together and you have an explosion on your hands. And we don't want to create explosions in our stomach. We want to keep things nice and calm. So what are some immediate consequences of poor food combining? Things like bloating, gas, digestive unease, stomach aches, nausea, fatigue, problems with elimination. So I'm sure you've experienced this when you've gone to a family potluck or something, and usually there's finger food. So you have your fruit tray, your vegetable tray, your sandwich tray, maybe your meat and cheese and crackers tray, your dessert tray. Okay, you have all these different trays and you're like, oh, this all looks so good. I'm gonna take some of the grapes and some of the melon. I'm gonna take some of the broccoli, some of the carrots. I'm gonna take some of the sandwiches, some of the crackers, some of the cheese, and some of the one of each dessert, and you eat it all at the same time. So usually what happens is you end up getting really bloated and gaseous, and you're, around other people, so you can't really let it go. So then you end up with a lot of stomach pain and you're really uncomfortable. And so normally what people think is, oh, it was the broccoli. I guess I can't eat broccoli, it gives me gas. And that's not the case. What the case is that all of the foods combined poorly is what's giving you gas, and it's what's giving you the bloating. So these immediate consequences can usually clear up in an hour or two, but what happens if you improperly combine food for a long period of time? What are some things that can happen? Well, you can get things like bad breath, dry skin, rashes, chronic inflammation, poor sleep, low energy, and chronic digestion issues. So a lot of times when people start to think about food combining and doing it properly, they get an energy surge, they lose weight naturally, and they get a flatter tummy. So I want to share with you some of the most common food combining errors that people make so that you can start correcting those right away. There is a lot more than just this, but these are the ones I see most often. So the first one is melons. Eat alone or leave alone. A watermelon only takes 20 minutes to digest. So your best bet is to eat it in the morning alone on an empty stomach. I'm sure you've experienced this when you've gone to a summer barbecue, and of course they have grilled hamburgers and potato chips and watermelon because it's the summer, right? And of course they have their desserts. And so you've eaten all these things and the watermelon, and I'm sure you experienced some gas and bloating. I know I always did. And so then when I heard that melons are supposed to be eaten alone, I was like, it makes perfect sense. Do you agree with me on that? So the second one is do not eat fruit after a meal. Fruit contains simple sugars that require almost no digestion, so they will not stay in your stomach for very long. Other foods, such as those high in fat, protein, and starch, they're going to stay in your stomach for much longer because they require more digestion. So if you eat fruit after a meal, the fruit sugar is going to stay way too long in your stomach and it's going to ferment, which causes an overgrowth of the bad bacteria. The third one is don't mix fruit and fat. It is just a bad combination. This one I can really attest to because when a lot of times we don't realize what certain things do because we're just used to it. Say we always have gas. We don't realize what it is that we're doing that causes gas. Well, since I switched to a raw vegan diet, I really rarely have gas. It's funny because if I ever pass gas, my kids are like, whoa, mom, you fart? And I'm like, hello, don't we all? Not very often, but I do. It's so funny. So I really don't have gas very often, but I can attest to you, every single time I mix fruit with fat, like an apple and peanut butter, a banana with peanut butter, trail mix where you have some dried fruit and nuts, anything with fruit and fat, I always, within 10 to 15 minutes, I start to get that feeling where it's kind of forming some air and I start to get tight and I start to get some pain. So really people, fruit and fat is just a bad combo. All right, number 4 is protein and starch combos. You don't want to mix them. Things like meat and potatoes, pizza and lasagna. So protein and starch combinations inhibit the salivary digestion of starch. Protein and starches need different enzymes and different levels of acidity to be digested. So when you eat them together, your body is forced to digest the protein, but not the starch. Then the undigested starchy food ferments and leads to poisonous end products, which it's also very taxing on your energy to eat such heavy meals. It requires so much energy to digest. So then instead of having energy to do what we want to do throughout the day, all of our energy is sucked into our digestion and we end up feeling really tired and really lethargic. I know you've experienced this after a Thanksgiving meal when of course you have turkey and potatoes or stuffing, you get that protein starch combination and it's so taxing and it's going to make you tired. All right, number 5 is mixing a starch with an acid. You don't want to do this. This is pretty common in like breakfast combinations where maybe you have some cereal and orange juice or a bagel and orange juice or, a donut or French toast with some orange juice. The acid in the orange juice destroys the enzyme responsible for digesting the starch. Plus, if you add cow's milk to the mix, the acidic juice is going to curdle that milk and turn it into a heavy mucus-forming substance. So a lot of times you can experience this, like if you're at like a hotel and you do like their continental breakfast and you grab like a donut and orange juice or like a bagel and orange juice and you go. And how do you feel after? I know I feel just so tired after. I'm like, man, I already feel like I need a nap. It is awful. So you just don't want to do that. As we become mindful that, these feelings of tired or lethargy or fatigue or the gas and the bloating, as we become aware that these things are caused by the combination of the foods that we're eating, we can create the right combinations and feel amazing. And not only are we going to feel amazing, we're going to look amazing because it's going to create a flatter tummy. So the last combination I have for you guys is bananas in milk. So this is one of the heaviest and toxin-forming combinations. It creates a heaviness in your body and it slows down your mind. So have you ever tried like the standard smoothie where, like milk, banana, protein powder, maybe some peanut butter? You're like, yeah, I got everything. I'm good. I'm healthy. But you drink it down and then you have like this total brain fog after and you're kind of like, ugh. So my husband used to do that all the time. And he had such a bad brain fog forming that he was really getting worried. He felt like he was getting stupider by the day and he was getting worried about dementia and Alzheimer's. He's like, what is going on? My husband's not that old, guys. He's like 43 years old. So he decided to take out all of the animal products and he's been doing raw vegan with me. And since doing that, he's been amazed. His mind is just electric. It is just firing like this. And he's like, come bedtime, my mind is still firing, like totally strong. He's like, I don't even want to go to bed because my mind is still like just producing and creating all of these new ideas. And I'm like, that is so interesting. So really that milk banana combo really does cause a brain fog, as my husband can attest to. So I know what you're thinking now. You're thinking, well, what can't I eat? You just told me everything I normally eat is a bad combination and is going to cause me to have all these problems. Well, some things that you can eat are delicious fruit smoothies that are made without cow's milk. You can use plant milk like almond milk, or coconut water makes delicious smoothies. You can also eat bowls full of fresh fruit with just a little bit of fat mixed in, not a lot. And having those greens mixed in, it's so satisfying and delicious. You can also make smoothie bowls that you can just decorate and have fun with and that are so satisfying. Or nice cream, and you can make a cone that's made out of fruit instead of grains, so you're not having any bad combinations. These are all healthy, digestive supporting combinations. Or you can make things like veggie burgers or veggie toast and sandwiches. You can have wraps and delicious dips and soups and even raw pizza. All of these things are made with all plants, so they're all safe combinations that are going to promote optimal digestion. So I know what else you're thinking. You're thinking, what about gas? Like, I eat broccoli, I get gas. I eat a vegetable, I get gas. Okay, so your gut biome, the flora in your gut, develops based on what you eat. It develops to digest what you eat. So if you have the standard American diet and you're consuming a lot of processed animal products, and then you throw in some fresh, plant food, your gut flora is not developed to really digest that. So you might have some digestive upset at first. But that goes away, you guys. As you consume more raw fruits and vegetables, that gut biome adjusts and it develops what it needs to digest the healthy food. So, as I told you, like now that I've been raw vegan and my gut biome has adjusted, it only took about a week or two. I really rarely get gas, you guys. It's so nice. And even my husband, I met my husband when I was 16 years old, and he has had gas since day one. Like bad gas. Like seriously, just ask anybody that knows my husband and they will say that man has gas. So he has switched to a raw vegan diet. And at first he didn't take out all the protein stuff. He was still adding like egg whites and protein powder and different things. And he still had horrific gas. And let me tell you, that gas that stinks like rotten eggs, it is caused by undigested protein, okay? And my husband's gas floors you. It's so bad, okay? So once he finally let go of the egg whites and the protein powder and just let it go and just stuck with raw fruits and vegetables, the nuts and seeds, you guys, his gas is almost gone. He still has some gas because he is healing ulcerative colitis. But it is amazing what switching his diet has done for this man. Like, we thought nothing could help him. And the raw vegan diet has helped him. And let me tell you, everyone in the house is happier because of it. And I know what else you're thinking. You're thinking, I can't afford healthy food. It's too expensive. Did you know that the medical cost for people who are obese is $1,429 a year higher than for people who are at a normal weight? That's $119 a month. So as you improve your digestion through supporting your stomach acid, eating real food that's going to give you fiber and living enzymes, and being mindful of the food combining that's going on as we eat, you will have a flatter tummy and you're going to feel fluid and amazing. So if you look at these pictures here, this is after I had my 6th baby. And I was mindful of all of these things, and look at how flat my tummy was, even though I've had 6 babies at this point. And then this picture here is me just recently. I'm 4 months postpartum with my 8th baby. So yeah, I'm not rocking a 6-pack yet, people, but as far as having a flat tummy, look how flat my tummy is, even though I've had so many babies. And yes, I still have fat to lose, but that doesn't affect that my stomach is still flat. So I've created a free guide for you guys that my husband is gonna put down below that is gonna help you with your food combining, because I know when we first learn about food combining, it's kind of like mind-blowing, and we're like, whoa, everything I normally eat's like bad for me. It's not good combining. What do I eat? And so I've created a more in-depth guide for you that you can download and use as you get used to proper food combining and start to feel amazing and fluid and having that flatter tummy. So I want you to think about it. If all's what this did was make it so that you had less gas, would it be worth it? If all's what this did was made it so that you could have a daily bowel movement, would it be worth it? If all's what this did was make it so that you could have a flatter tummy, would it be worth it? What about if all's what this did was make it so that you could fit in your skinny jeans and be comfortable? Would it be worth it? What if all's what this did was save you $1,429 a year in medical costs? Would it be worth it? All that you need to do is start incorporating more raw fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, probiotics, things that support your digestion, and start eliminating the processed junk. So as you do this, you will get a flatter tummy, girlfriends. So in my next webinar, I'm gonna share with you why you're so tired and what you can do to become energized. So check your inbox for the date and time, and I will see you guys then. Bye.